Welcome back, Elaine and Karen. Nice to see you again. So let's dive into our teaching for today. There's an email to look at with the daily quote that will lead us nicely into today's lesson. So let me just get my screen shared so you can have a look at quote. All right, so let me know when you can see that. And yeah, Karen, maybe you can read that for us. Headline quote, please, from Mark Twain.
Anchor is an asset that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured.
You see this photo of this clearly very angry young man.
Yeah.
Tattoos and rings, and you go, well, this is the vessel. It can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored. So his vessel becomes his mind and his body in which it is stored. And then you see how it manifests. You see what he's done to his body as a result of the internal anger.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we hurt ourselves, we harm ourselves. He hits the
That
nail very.
word that stands out for me is the acid.
Yeah, because it is very acidic, and yeah, acid is cutting. Acid hurts. Acid, bites, dissolves things, and it's not, anyone's acid. It's not something we think of as, in a positive light. So a great description really of it by Mark Twain, which really dovetails with what the Course in Miracles says. Yeshua says all attack is self-attack and damages the person being angry more than anyone he or she is feeling angry towards. That's what we have to. It's a simple idea, isn't it? It's a very simple lesson, but that's what we have to learn in this world. Whenever you're angry with anyone else, you're actually harming yourself more. Doesn't feel like it in the moment because it feels the ego likes it, and the ego says no, they're the problem, and there's some kind of a release in anger. It's like, yeah, get angry, and then, but the problem with anger is that it perpetuates the thought system of guilt and sin on which it's based. So if we look at the genesis of it, go back to our much looked at diagram, the descent into hell, you see very clearly here how it fits in. So once you've got guilt and sin because you think you've already separated and you've already destroyed love, now you must feel fear, the fear of punishment, and you must fear that some external force, a fearful, wrathful, vengeful God will punish you. And now anger and fear arise from the foundation of sin and guilt, inevitably. Then you can't deal with that. So what you try and do is you project it out. So you go, well, this guilt and the sin and this fear and this anger that I'm feeling because of it, I can't handle. So I project it onto someone else. So now I accuse someone else. I attack them mentally, emotionally, sometimes physically. So it's accusation, blame, and attack in all of its forms as a form of projection of my subconscious guilt. I'm saying I'm not the guilty one. I'm not to blame whenever I attack someone. You are the guilty one. You are to blame. So God, this fearful, wrathful, vengeful God, which is illusory, but yet it's powerful if we believe in it. This was going to punish you. God's going to get you and not me. So I'm off the hook, and you're the one who's going to suffer and be punished. That's the very simple explanation for why anger doesn't work. So the more you do that, the more you play this game, the more you actually perpetuate the illusion that guilt and sin and fear are real. You can't be angry and not have guilt and sin and fear going on in your mind. And the more you project it out, the more the guilt and the sin and the fear grow, and they become a cancer in your mind. Ultimately, that can manifest, as we know, in the physical body as diseases like cancer, which is really just any autoimmune disease is self-attack. So if you attack yourself psychologically, mentally, and emotionally, then sooner or later the body manifests that, and you end up being sick. And that then explains why we get sick and why we have various bodily ailments and conditions, because it's the ego, sin, and guilt, and it's a need to attack coming now back on us. So it's really just self-attack. And if we can see that honestly, and without judging ourselves from going, oh, you idiot, why did you attack yourself? But just look at it and go, okay, I understand, at a deep level, this is what's going on. I know both of you dealing with some body issues. Then it helps you to let it go and say, okay, but I don't have to continue to believe that story because it's not true. So I can drop any energy of attacking myself and release it and free myself. All right, so let's go back here. Lane, if you can read this quote from Workbook Lesson 23.
Each of your perceptions of external reality is a pictorial representation of your own attack thoughts.
Quite a statement, isn't it? Each of your perceptions of external realities. So that's pretty much everything you perceive with your physical senses. That's your visual sight, that's hearing, touch, taste, smell, 5 physical senses. That forms a perception of so-called, quote, external reality, is a pictorial representation of your own attack thoughts. Wow. A visual representation of your own attack thoughts, projected out now, seemingly real in these images that surround you in this world, and the sounds, images, sounds, touch, taste, all of it is a pictorial representation of your own attack thoughts. It's a very profound idea. And so he's trying to teach us just how entrenched anger and its related attack thoughts are in our minds, and therefore the seeming reality of our experience in this world goes to the very heart that we only perceive an external world because we've had attack thoughts, because we believe in this thought system of guilt and fear and sin and attack. That's why the external world seems to exist. That's what he's trying to say to us. So sugarcoating a world that is just a projection of guilt, fear, and attack thoughts will not help you find peace while you're apparently living in the world, or escape from the world entirely, which is the stated goal of the Course in Miracles curriculum. Only perceiving the world as it really is, without trying to cover over what I call the rotten cake of this world that the ego is baked with a veneer of ephemeral icing. So it's like there's most positive thinking, personal growth type thinking. Okay, yes, you can make it happen. You can make your life better. You can achieve things, etc. It's like a thin veneer, the thin icing, let's say, positive icing on a rotten cake. Because underneath it is this thought system of guilt and sin and fear and attack, which that positivity generally doesn't even touch. It just kind of skates over the top of it. And so you can, seemingly be positive and things may seem to go better in that little thin veneer. While you're eating the icing, the cake's quite nice, but you go deeper than that because ultimately you have to eat the cake as well. And then you go, oh, no, this is really pretty nasty, pretty rotten. Because guilt and sin and fear and attack can never taste good. They're never going to give us a happy experience of life. So without really letting go of that thought system, none of that positivity will work. It's just a thin veneer, a icing on a rotten cake. What we have to do is systematically let our belief in it go, in our separate self and in the world go. to correct our perception of the world, take us step by step to the ultimate goal of enlightenment. So that's a very deep process. It's not, a little bit of thin veneer of positivity isn't gonna work. So you've really got to look at your entire life. You've got to look at your thoughts, your emotions, what you're attached to, what you crave, what you fear, what you desire, what you hate, what you love. Look at all of it and recognize that all of it is part of this illusory construct the ego has invented, which is a construct based on guilt, fear, sin, and attack. And in order to be free, you have to let go of all of it. So that means you let go of your attachment to all of it. There's no longer any emotional reaction to any of it. And that's the real work. And that's what we do every day. So I gave you a little recorded discussion. You can listen to it. Both of you might actually find it quite helpful because people were talking, this is during one of the Art of Letting Go courses I ran, talking about their physical symptoms like low energy, headaches, back pain, stomach aches, to emotional, ranging from that to mental and emotional negativity, to relationship challenges arising at work and home. And really the message in this recording is that you've got to have the courage to persevere through these challenges and the understanding that they're an essential part of the journey of transformation. And without working through them, the necessary transformation into your higher self simply won't happen. So we should really welcome them. When it comes up, you go, okay, this is the manifestation of my hitherto hidden negativity, my subconscious negativity coming out now as whatever you're experiencing, whatever the difficulties, low energy, headaches, back pain, etc. So we should really welcome it and say, this is great because it's arising from the subconscious. It's now manifesting, and it allows me to deal with this. This gives me the opportunity to really look at it and let it go. Let go of it at the causal level. So I can let go of the actual cause of these physical conditions. And you might want to read this article on the hero's journey, just to remind yourself of what it's all about. That it's not an easy journey. There's 12 steps to it, and in order to become enlightened, we have to walk the journey. You have to walk the path. As Morpheus said to Neo, there's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path. So you can know about the path, you can know about the hero's journey, you've got the intellectual knowledge, and there's many students, philosophers, theologians who have that. But to know it is experiential. Now you've got to walk it, and you've got to overcome the difficulties that arise on the path through applying these teachings. Now your learning becomes very deep, very experiential, and you become very resilient because you've actually journeyed through this difficulty and you come out the other side, as is shown here. Let's just show this hero's journey. So you come out the other side of very, very testing, challenging time, all the trials, and then the death and the rebirth. And when that's happening, it's not pleasant. No one's going to go, whoopee, I'm really happy at this point. In fact, you think your world's collapsing. That's why that comment, and then you mentioned some teacher had said, oh, well, are you happy? You're not always going to be happy on the journey. It's inevitable. If you're really going through difficulty, at that point, you can't say, well, I'm really blissfully happy. I'm not even vaguely happy, maybe. I'm really struggling. But I know that on the other side of this, that if I keep working through this and I keep letting go, that happiness awaits me, and a deeper, more authentic kind of happiness than I would ever have previously believed was possible. On the other side of the death of the ego and the rebirth into your true self, authentic happiness lies, and that's what we all want, and that's why you keep going. So if it's tough, you've got to dig in and go, okay, I know, but at least I know that there's a process here. That's the beauty of a model like the hero's journey, is helps you to know where you are in the process, that there is a process, and that, like others before you, you will, if you carry on, it's inevitable you'll get to the other side. On this side of the journey, it becomes quite pleasant. This is the happy dream. This is you're living in an enlightened state. You return to the world, you found your true purpose, you can do something truly meaningful with your life, you can help others. That's all very good, and that's the happy dream. But to get there, you've got to go through this side, which was not easy. Some people would call it hell. You've got to go through hell to get to heaven. That's not just very, can be very, very challenging. And so if you're going through that now, both of you are, facing some challenges, just remember this too will pass. This is a process, and the only way out is through. I've got to keep going. I've got to get through these obstacles. I can't shrink back from them and or try and cover them over with drugs or alcohol, whatever it is. I've got to go through this and come out the other side. And so, okay, I'm up for it. I have the courage, and I've got to trust that Spirit's with me, that I will be guided, and I will come out the other side ultimately, because that's the archetype. The hero's journey is applicable to everyone. You're not excluded from this. This is a model of how this awakening journey works, which Joseph Campbell found applied across all different cultures, traditions, over thousands of years. We looked at the myths and the legends, and from various cultures, traditions, religious traditions, spiritual traditions, cultural traditions, looked at ancient religions, and found that there's one universal archetype, and that's still very applicable today. We're all going through this right now. So it's comforting to know, look, I'm not alone. There's a process to this, and it's okay. So yeah, listen to that. How to overcome the challenges on the hero's journey could be helpful, and that leads us nicely into our live session. So any thoughts, comments, or questions on any of that? Should go into the
Yeah, that's good.
insert.
That's good.
All right, so let's have a look then at today's insert. Where are we? It's in 347. Okay, so this is insert 13 on what is a miracle. So I'm going to just read that, 5 short paragraphs, just to remind us of what a miracle really is, and then we'll go into the lesson. Yeah, so Karen, do you want to read paragraph 1? Just read it in the alternative, because not much to translate there. So the second paragraph there that I've highlighted, just read that if you can.
I can't see the screen.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want me to make it? Is it
Yeah.
too small, or you just can't see it at all?
I don't know if you can make it bigger. That'd be great.
Yeah. And let's just go 120%. How about that? Is that better?
Uh-uh.
Any better? No.
Just try to,
Did you
no.
get that enough? Still not really. Okay. Okay, I'm going to make it a bit bigger. It's going to go off the page just now. So let's do 170%.
There we go.
Yeah. All right.
A little bit better. Sorry, I'm still on painkillers, so a little bit battling a little bit. A miracle is the connection.
Correction.
Correct. No, I need to make it.
But bigger still. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's just go for 200 and see how that goes. There we go.
Right. Sorry, I'm just trying. I'm not used to. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on.
Miracle is a correction.
Um, yeah, it's done.
I think you're muted. Huh? Okay, shall we ask, can you read, or shall we ask Elaine to read?
And see the screen.
You can't see the screen. Okay. All right, let's just, Elaine, if you can read that. Number 1, miracle is a correction.
Sorry. A miracle is a correction. It does not extend nor really change at all. It merely looks on devastation and reminds the mind that what it perceives is false. It undoes error, but does not attempt to go beyond perception, nor exceed the function of letting go. And so it stays within time's limits, yet it paves the way for the return of eternity and my awakening to love. For my fear must slip away under the gentle remedy it brings. So it's just saying that miracle is a correction, and it never really changes. It just looks on devastation and sees the falsity in it and undoes the error.
I like that word devastation. It's like you look on the devastation of the world, everything that goes wrong, and all the pain and the suffering, the misery and the sickness and the death. And the miracle just says it's not true. You know, what you see is false. It's a false projection of a false mind, an illusion that actually means nothing. Nothing I see means anything. So if it's false and it doesn't mean anything, why am I reacting to the devastation? Why am I upset about it, angry about it, fearful of it? There's no reason if it's just illusory. And then he frames it and he says it doesn't attempt to go beyond perception or exceed the function of letting go. So you're still dealing with perception, but now it's corrected perception. Your perception is, well, I can still observe this, whatever the thing is that was pushing your buttons might still be going on, but I don't get upset by it because I realize it's false. So you're still in time's limits, you're still in perception, but it's a very different kind of perception. It's a non-judgmental perception. It's a perception that won't upset you, disturb your peace. And that's why he says it paves the way for the return of eternity and my awakening to love. My fear must slip away under the gentle remedy it brings. So if we look at this Holy Trinity diagram, we can see just what you mean. So a miracle is the change of mind or perception based on the true self's understanding of oneness that changes your perception of all the people, things, places, events, circumstances, situations, trauma, successes, failures, and all experiences that seem to exist and happen in the physical universe of time and space. Perception applies to all of them. But your true perception, your Christ vision, reminds you that you really are still one self, that none of this really matters. Only the truth is true. And so the true self, or the Christ, is an extension of this fundamental awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love. It's which is why we call it an extension. Son of God, or the extension of this perfect love, is your true self that can both know that it's one with God, or know that it's one with pure formless awareness of perfect love, but also perceive correctly. It can reinterpret and perceive all of the illusions in the dream world. So it's the intermediary. It becomes the bridge between the worlds. For a while, you can live in the true self. You can be connected to your source and have genuine peace and happiness and love and joy flowing through you. But you can also stay in this world and perceive things correctly and based on your perceptions, make decisions, take actions, actually be very effective in the world while you're here. Ultimately, this prepares you, as he says, for the coming of eternity, return of eternity, and my awakening to love. Ultimately, fear must slip away into the gentle remedy it brings. But recognizing that that's a process, and while we're here, all we can really do is correct our perception. Just keep correcting perception, which means changing our mind, letting go of our illusions about things, any negative thoughts and emotions. And if we keep doing that, we are preparing the way for the return of eternity and awakening to love, i.e., merging back in to this eternal state we call pure formless awareness of perfect love, or any of those other names that are there. Okay, so that appears number one. Is that clear? Karen,
Yeah.
you okay with that? So we'll move on to number two then.
Okay. Yes. Sorry,
You
I
can
got
read that
back.
now? Can you read that now?
Alternatively, is
Yeah.
that the right one?
Correct, yeah. The correction contains the gift of grace.
Correction contains the gift of grace, where it is given as one. And
And receive.
sorry,
You
it
skipped off receive
illustrates
and
the
receive.
law of the truth, and does not obey because it fails entirely to understand its ways. Okay. Correction inverts perception. That was upside down before, and so it ends the strange distortion that it appears. Now our perception is open to the truth. Now I perceive that my letting go is justified.
Okay, so what's he saying in that one?
That everything is just an illusion.
Yeah. And that comes down to the perceptual level. So you realize actually you were confused before, everything was upside down, and all of these strange distortions that you experienced are now shown in their correct light. From the perspective of truth, from this perspective of pure formless awareness as it translates down through the true self, you realize only oneness is true. And you look on everything that goes on here in this world that is not true, and you see it for what it is. And you go, I'm not confused anymore. I don't believe in any of it. It's not really important. It's not real. The only thing that's important and real is this pure formless awareness of perfect love, as it translates to me in this Christ, in the true self, as I experience it. That's the only thing that matters in this world. Can I stay in that true self? Can I stay in the guidance and allow myself to be continuously inspired by that, so that my perception is never false? I never get confused and lost in the dream world again. And that's what the miracle is. And that's why it's called A Course in Miracles. It's that change of mind. The change of perception is where the rubber meets the road of spiritual awakening. Because you have to change your perception first before you can go into pure formless awareness of perfect love. That's not just going to happen generally. Occasionally people have revelatory experiences, but they'll come out of it. To make that your eternal state, you must correct from the ground up. You must start where you are, which is in the domain of perception. So you must start correcting these faulty perceptions that enslave you into this red box of a world, and it feels very limiting and very unhappy and afraid and scared, and all of those things within this paradigm. You have to start correcting your perceptions and raising yourself up in the doing of that into the true self. The more you correct your perceptions, the more miracles happen. In other words, the more your true self is strengthened and your sense of true identity is strengthened. And that is the necessary then intermediary step to ultimately be able to go into pure formless awareness of perfect love. You're not just going to go straight from here, really being rooted in the world and making the world real and very important, to pure formless awareness of perfect love. That is, by definition, completely formless. There's no perception of any form in that. It's a massive chasm. So he's saying, well, how do you get back? How do you cross that bridge? Well, you do it via the true self, the Christ, and its perceptions, which are directed by the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is the symbolized in this diagram by the blue arrows. Holy Spirit, or remembrance of perfect love, oneness. That is actually what is doing the reinterpretation. So you have a misperception, and then the Holy Spirit says, but just under the guidance of the Christ, the true self, which knows that only oneness is true, it says to remember that this perception, this image that you're seeing is just an illusion. None of it's really true. So why are you getting upset then? You can just let this go, and you can find a peace of mind anyway. As simple as that sounds, that's what this work involves. But you just got to keep doing it over and over and over again, no matter what shows up in this red box. Because the ego's invented all kinds of tricks to keep your mind very engaged in this, hasn't it? That's our challenge. It wants to pull you into the red box and keep you in the physical universe of time and space, attached to your separate self and the body and all of your misperceptions within that box. And it wants to keep you away from the true self and away from pure formless awareness of perfect love, as far away as possible, i.e. stay stuck in the illusion. So, did you want to say something?
Yeah, because that's so interesting, because even though I've been doing this work with you for 3 years plus, that red box seems to kind of disappear in my mind. And I think that's the whole part of the learning process, is that I want to be that God and that perfect formless awareness and all of that kind of stuff in the blue box. But the point is that that red box kind of just disappears sometimes. And that's what's happened in the last 2 weeks or so is, I've got stress and trauma and all that kind of shit. And I hate to use the word shit.
It's okay. I mean, that's what it is. It's the ego is a shit show. It's not
is
nice.
what
You can't call it anything. Yeah, you can't say this is nice. It's you're going through trauma. You're going through really challenging, difficult experiences, because remember that's the ego's best defense. It wants you to experience all of that and go, no, you're not the Christ, you're not the true self. You're certainly very far away from pure formless awareness of perfect love, because look,
but
you suffer.
I want to be, Jono. I want to be that.
Of course
that
you do.
woman.
So this
that
is the spirit, your true self knows that that's true, and knows that that's all it really wants. It just wants to merge back into this awareness, because that's where you're truly happy, you're truly at home eternally. Nothing can ever go wrong. So it yearns for it, and yet the other part of your mind, the ego, blocks that persistently. It's terrified of that. So this is the duality of the human experience. It's why duality seems to exist, because we seem to have these two thought systems, two opposite voices in our minds that contradict each other. The one's telling you, no, you're human and don't forget it, and it's about the physical experience and you suffering, and the only way out of this is to get some kind of magic remedy. Maybe you can find some magic pill or potion or substance that will make this better. And it's very limited. It keeps you in the box of time and space, believing that you're a human, that you're on this timeline, looking at it another way, that you're on this timeline from birth to death, with the various traumas and stuff that go along with that, and that this is your life. This is all there is. It doesn't want you to know that beyond this lies this eternal, infinite pure
Yes.
formless awareness of perfect love, that is so beautiful that it makes all of this just look ridiculous. Like, why would you choose? Why would you look at an average life? I mean, so maybe some of you, both of you, have experienced some of this stuff. If you look at it, this is just a hypothetical life that someone might lead with various major life events along their timeline from birth to death. And I know people in the community have experienced some of this major childhood trauma, death of a parent. I know John had that. Major rejection, divorce. People have been through that. Loss of a job. It's common. You've been through that, Karen, Lynn. I know others. Major stress. John's sold his business, so that's something positive. Then existential crisis of retirement. I know he struggled a bit with that. And then apparent illness and ultimately death. Now, if you look at all of that honestly, would you want that? Would anyone in their right mind sign up for that? I mean, that's just hellish. When you could just stay in pure formless awareness of perfect love, in perfect bliss, you could have that, or you could have this. Why on earth would you choose
Yeah, I know what I would choose.
to be human? Yeah, I mean, it's when you look at it this clearly, there's no justification for choosing to be human and choosing to come here and go through all of this, when you could just have perfect peace and joy and bliss in what we call heaven, in a formless state where nothing ever goes wrong. You don't have to deal with any of this crazy stuff and the challenges we go through in this life in heaven. It's absolute perfection eternally. It never stops. It's just eternal bliss. It's like one of the Buddhist monks, Gary, it wasn't Gary, not, but someone asked him, well, what about sex? And his answer was quite funny and quite wise. He said, well, when you're coming all the time, it doesn't really matter. What he's saying is when you're in this blissful state all the time, a temporary sensation like an orgasm on the physical level doesn't really mean that much. It's this makes everything. What are you saying is it makes even that experience that in this world many people yearn for, go, oh, no, just human beings are obsessed with sex. It pales into insignificance. It's like, well, this is just like nothing. It's pales into a shadow of insignificance besides the bliss that you can have in this state of pure formless awareness and perfect love. So choose this. The Yeshua is saying to us, choose this and choose this alone. You cannot choose this and also choose to be on the timeline, because they contradict each other. These are mutually exclusive ideas, thought systems, and realities. You can't choose both. Which is why it's a non-dual teaching. He's saying you must choose one or the other, but you can't really choose both. If you think you can, you're kidding yourself, because they contradict each other. Fundamentally, this reality of pure formless awareness of perfect love is the complete opposite of the reality of time and space and perception and everything that goes down here. You'll never reconcile them, so you must choose. Mostly we choose the ego because we're so used to it. And so we actually choose our own suffering, sickness, aging, and death. And Yeshua is saying to us, that's not a smart choice. You need to, wake up. And you wake up through letting go. That's the Holy Spirit again in the blue arrows. You let go of your psychological and emotional attachments to these traumas and these situations that arise in your life. Because when you do that, you restore your mind into this awareness and you rise above the battleground. You're no longer that affected by any of these traumas. You remember that who you really are. Now, if you do that for your whole life really well, by the time you lay the physical body aside, i.e., death of the physical body, your mind is so attuned to this. You're so used to the state, you're so comfortable with it, that your mind simply accepts it, merges back in there, and goes, well, I'm home. I don't need a body anymore. So why would I want to bypass this hang on to my psychological and emotional attachments and reincarnate in another body to play those psychological and emotional attachments out. And that's what karma is. It's the psychological and emotional attachments of the ego, i.e., its whole identity, that just plays out again in another body in another life. Why would you choose to do that if you know that you're pure formless awareness of perfect love? Well, the answer is you wouldn't. And that's the choice he's asking us to make. You would just stay in this awareness and you'll never come back to what honestly is a nightmare. You know, the cycle of birth and death, you look at what most people have to go through in their lives. Why would you do that to yourself when you can just have perfect bliss? There's no good answer to that, is there? Which is why only the truth is true, and this teaching is true, and the ego is false. Okay, so let's go back to our reading. So happy with number 2?
Yeah.
Okay, Elaine, if you can read number 3.
Letting go is the home of corrections. The eyes of my true self deliver them to all they see in kindness and love. My perception stands corrected in its perspective, and what was meant to curse has now come to bless. Each thought of letting go offers the whole world the silent correction of love, and each is laid before the message of perfect love upon the universal foundation to my source and its extension in the awareness of perfect purity and endless joy. So it's the letting go is the answer to our corrections to going home. It's our true self is going to actually deliver all this love and kindness. And each thought of letting go just offers a silent correction of love.
Yeah.
So it's, leads us to our awareness of perfect purity and endless joy. I don't know yet. It's why do we hang on?
Yeah, we hang on because we've done it for so long. We've done it for our whole lives and many lives before that we're used to it. We get accustomed to darkness and pain and suffering, and the ego tells us that that's our lot. We deserve that because we've sinned against God. We've destroyed this loving awareness. We now deserve to be punished, and this life in this world is the activation, is the expression of that punishment. And we believe that whole story. This is why we do it. It comes down to what you believe. This is why the Course works on these fundamental beliefs and says, no, don't believe it. None of it's true. You're only here because of a false idea, which isn't true. So you're not doomed to suffer and die. You can make another choice and you can free yourself. Sorry, Elaine, what, you're going to ask a question?
Yeah, it's just there are some people that seem to sort of not get all of these problems. Not many, I have to say, but you occasionally get those that seem to what you call have a cushy life.
Well, apparently,
they manage to get through the trauma of a loss of a parent, whether it's death or divorce, or they seem to just trot along, and then they'll meet their love, when they're 15 and live happily ever after. But mine, there isn't many, but most of us go through.
I'm not sure there are any. I mean, everyone goes through difficulties in life.
Yeah, maybe I'm looking through
there's no one who hasn't suffered in this world. I can tell you that. No, there's not a human being alive who hasn't at some point in their life suffered. Even if they were born with a silver spoon in their mouth, sometimes the suffering is even more intense. Look at someone like take a Princess Diana.
Oh yeah.
So she was born into it was a upper class family. They were part of the the nobility of England, but yet, you know, she wasn't loved as a child, so she grew up not believing she was worth very much. Then she's like, "Whoa, you know, Princess Diana. I mean, this is every girl's dream. You're a princess, and you're married to a prince, and you know, you're glamorous, and you're making covers, headlines, and stuff." But it wasn't all pretty for her. She was not a happy person.
No, no.
And you know, so the celebrities of this world, like Princess Di, they almost you can learn so much from them. You go, well, okay, so they've got this life that so many people yearn for. Riches, fame, you know, success level, and yet are they happy? Have they found a deep inner peace and authentic happiness? No, generally not.
No.
So what does that tell you? That the very epitome of the ego's thought system, what it says will work, actually really doesn't work at all. Even if you go and you achieve that, it doesn't work. Look at the likes of other stars. Marilyn Monroe, another classic example. Had everything. She had the world at her feet. She achieved her dream. She wanted to go to Hollywood, become a movie star. She did. She was one of the most famous women in the world. She had all kinds of rich, powerful men after her. And we go, wow, what a great life. She commits suicide in her 30s. Why? Because she's just desperately unhappy, because she didn't feel loved through all of that. All of her striving to be a movie star was to try and get love, the love that she was missing. But it was special love, so it was misdirected. So all she got was more pain and misery, and eventually she couldn't handle it, and she just killed herself. So these kinds of stories, it's indicative to teach us. You can learn from the experiences of these celebrities who had everything. You know, they had a wow, like they achieved so much, but they weren't happy. Often short-lived lives. A candle in the wind, as Elton John said. Just you know, and then snuffed out. Boom, you know, gone.
Yeah.
So what was it all for? What did it all mean? Well, of course, it's saying to us it meant nothing. It was just another part of a crazy dream. She
There
believed
are
it.
some couples like Tony Robinson and his wife, they seem to be pretty happy, don't they? You know, the inspirational
No,
speaker.
but that's because they've done a lot of spiritual work. They've gone through a journey of self-discovery. Interesting, Tony Robbins and his wife are now talking much more about letting go. They hang out with Michael Singer, and they've done a couple of podcasts with him. He really is just teaching A Course in Miracles. He doesn't teach it formally, but he's just saying it that every spiritual teaching, every spiritual practice involves the same thing, and that's letting go. You've got to let go of your stuff. You've got to let go of your separate self. So Tony Robbins is like, oh, this isn't like another level, because he himself he's experienced it himself, the limitations of the egoic thought system. Okay, well, where does the achievement stop? You know, high flyer, achieved a lot. He's built however many companies. He's got millions. Wow, you know, like, and yet he's turning to Michael Singer and saying, I want to learn from you because there's something more profound here that I'm starting to awaken to. So eventually all roads lead to this letting go, whichever path you take. He admitted it. She said, yeah, I've seen a lot of people and they come in my workshops and courses and so on, and yet they're still quite stressed. They're not that happy. They're high achievers. They're doing stuff. They're making stuff work in their lives. But where's the happiness? Where's the peace? Where's the fulfillment? Often it's not there. Often there's a lot of stress, and then the dysfunction that comes with stress. So often, you know, people handle stress in different ways, but often it's substances, alcohol, drugs. It's yeah, behaviors that don't serve them. And so he's seen it, and he's like, okay, well, the answer is letting go. You got to let go of all of that stuff and find the core of who you really are through, but beyond all that. Beyond achievements, beyond anything that you do in this world. Who are you really? And that's what all the teachings lead to. Who are you really through all of this? The Course just makes it very, very explicit. The Course just says that, let's not beat around the bush. The only thing that matters is knowing who you are. That's the one thing you came to learn. And the one technique that's going to help you to learn that is letting go. The more you let go of your ego, psychological, emotional attachments, the more you'll come to know your true self. That's the how it works. That's the equation. Therefore, letting go brings you into knowledge of your true self and ultimately pure formless awareness of perfect love eternally. So just keep doing it. One thing you have to master. One skill, that's all. Which is why I've called the program The Art of Letting Go. You have to master the art of letting go in order to escape from this whole nightmare and ultimately go back home to pure formless awareness of perfect love or heaven.
Yeah, and that's what I've realized. You can't just do it once.
No, it's a daily practice. Becomes the way that you live in this world. So the only way that makes any sense in this world to live is to continuously let go whenever the ego comes up. So whenever I'm struggling, there's any kind of suffering, there's any negative thought or emotion. And I say it that way, negative, because it negates the truth. Whenever any of that comes up, the only thing that I have to do is to let it go.
Yeah.
Which is very simple. It's not a difficult teaching,
Sounds
is it?
simple.
But to do it, yeah.
It's
But
not
to
that
do it
simple
is
when
another
you
matter.
are in so much pain.
Yeah. Because it's simple, but it's not easy. Because we're so deeply entrenched in the ego's thought system. We've believed this story so much. We believe we're bodies. We believe we are experiencing all this. We believe our past is real. We believe the future, whatever we imagine is real. We're so enslaved into that then to unwind all of that, although it's simple, the idea is simple. To actually
it should
undo
be
all of that is
seconds.
the work.
It should be seconds. I mean, we are all but players on a stage.
Yeah.
So my question is still like, why is this so very hard for me right now?
Because you got yourself very attached to the idea of who you were, who you thought you were. And Corin, an individual person with a life situation, and you were very attached to that, and it meant a lot to you, and then it all disappears. Suddenly that's gone, and then you feel bereft. That Corin character feels very sad and very lonely and very bereft, because apparently what was valuable to you has been taken away. You've lost that. So now you deal with sacrifice and loss.
Yeah,
And
but I also realize what is good for me and what I know is good for me.
So you're not,
So it's
the point
a
is
shift
you're
of
not completely confused. You know the truth, but you have to work through those illusions. They're very sticky. They're kind of there in the subconscious, and to really let them go requires, a lot of this work, a lot of spiritual practice, a lot of mind training to unwind your mind from this whole crazy dream which you've believed in. And you've apparently experienced it. You apparently still are experiencing it. You look around, okay, there seems to be a room around you and people and a whole world. We got ourselves very, very deeply attached into the dream. And so now to unwind ourselves from all of that, it's quite an effort. And that's what the spiritual journey is. That's what the hero's journey is. But at least with this teaching, at least it's clear what you've got to do. With many teachings, it's not actually very clear what you've got to do. There's no clear-cut direction. So, well, it's a bit of this or a bit of this, or this will help, maybe. But like, what do I have to do to be free? I can't tell you. This is very clear. You have to do one thing: just let it go. Whatever's arising, whatever's negative in your thoughts and emotion, you've got to let that go. That's the simple truth. And that's the one thing you've got to focus on. Okay, well, at least I know what I've got to do. And so I can get busy with it. Okay, let me just keep letting go. Knowing that that's the only way I'm going to deal with this trauma, whatever the difficulties are. It's the only effective way of actually getting through this. And the alternative, if you look at what the alternative is, then it becomes even more obvious. Okay, so you're going to hold on. You'll hold on to all your trauma and all your drama and all your pain and all your attachments. You'll hold on to those. How's that going to work? You look at it so clearly, you see that's obviously not going to work, because you just get worse and worse. Every trauma now you hold on to just makes you more traumatized. At the end of your life, you're going to be a complete basket case, because your trauma is going to be so big and you've just grown it and built on it, that how is any kind of peace of mind or happiness possible? And then no wonder people get sick, because they just keep building on that trauma over the course of decades. Eventually it manifests in the body as illness. But you have the way. Okay, I know what to do. Just got to keep letting go. The teaching is very clear. Okay, it's all good. I'll do it. I can do this. You know you can do this because ultimately your true self and your source are behind this. They cannot fail. They cannot fail to come to the fore and be known again, because that is the will of God, that they be known again as they are in your own experience. And that call to know them again is the call home. That's the call we listen to and we honor. So I will listen to that call rather than the call of the ego to remain attached and enslaved in this nightmarish world of separation, because there's no point in that.
Well, there's no
Which call am I going to honor?
in that. So we know that. We can
Sorry?
take this call offline. We know that. We can take this
Yeah.
call offline.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so let's go on to number 4. I must first accept corrections through faith. Is it Corin? Corin, is it your turn to read?
Yeah, I've just done number 3.
Yeah. Corin, can you read number 4?
Yeah. Let's try it. So, alternatively, I must accept corrections through faith. To ask for them implies my mind has been prepared to conceive if what it cannot perceive and does not understand. Yet faith will bring its witnesses to show what it what it is rested on is really there. And so much correction will justify in it and show its faith. So,
Justify my faith in it and show it rested.
and the rest of the world on a world that, the painkillers are kicking in.
Okay, no problem.
In a world that,
Just finish the sentence and then can read the next one. Shall I finish it for you?
yeah,
So each correction will justify my faith in it and show it rested on a world more real than what I perceived before, a world transformed from what I thought was there. So what he's saying there is very profound. He's saying that when you do a correction in the mind on this level, if you look at integral model, this might be helpful. When you correct your thoughts and your emotions in the subjective I self, the interior individual domain, that has an effect on the external. What you effectively do is you go up the levels. These are contour lines that represent levels of mind. You go up by letting go, you go up the levels. So you might bump up 1 or 2 or 3 levels. And at that higher level, you've fundamentally shifted your mind and therefore your energy. That extends out into the exterior world, because as within, so without. That's the law. And so now you get a material shift. You see it in the body, you see it in behavior, you see something change in your life. That confirms to you that, yes, I can see the connection between the internal shift that I made and this external result. And that now is a witness to the fact that this is true, that you're on the right track. This is true. And so your faith in this new thought system grows because you've got the witness to it. And so now the mechanism of projection and perception, which the ego has invented to enslave you, it tells you, well, you're gonna believe in the separate self, and then you're gonna get various difficulties and challenges and disasters, and that's going to confirm that the separate self is real and that you really are limited and separate and alone and doomed to suffer and die. That's its story. The Holy Spirit changes that and says, no, you're now going to use that projection perception mechanism to unwind your mind from the dream. You're going to use it to get out of the matrix, not to screw yourself more deeply into it. And that's why this course is called A Course in Miracles, because it's designed to help you have those internal miracles, and then the external shifts or miracles confirm that the internal is correct. And so you learn from that. And if you keep doing that, it becomes a positive self-reinforcing cycle that takes you back home, ultimately out of the whole dream. You go through all the levels and then you're free. There's no more levels in spirit. You're beyond the model and any limitations of this integral model, which is still working within the domain of perception and time and space, and you go to infinity and eternity. But you have to climb. If you're somewhere down here in the lower levels, you have to raise yourself up. There's no way out but to go through these levels. And letting go is like the catapult or the trampoline that jumps you from one level to another. Every time you let go, you go to another level. So if you keep letting go, that's what bumps you up the levels and ultimately gets you out. Okay, is that clear? Any questions on that? Let's go on to number 5 then. Elaine, if you can read number 5.
Corrections fall like drops of healing rain from the state of pure formless awareness on a dry and dusty world where starved and thirsty creatures come to die. Now they have water. Now the world is green. And everywhere the signs of life spring up to show that what is born can never die. For what has life has immortality. Yeah. So it's saying about the corrections are like healing rain from this state of pure formless awareness that's within us. And, you know, where we've been starved and left to suffer and die. But now it's turned green and there's water there and there's signs of spring and life. And to show that what was born can never die. And that life is immortality, has immortality.
Whereas life is immortality. Yeah. Which is wonderful to know. There's this eternal spring, the darkness, the winter is over, and letting go connects you with eternal life. So you realize that actually only immortality is true. And there's life as immortality.
That was very beautiful.
It's yeah, lovely paragraph.
And if you realize that, it's all okay. Whatever seems to be mortal, to suffer and to die, is simply not real. That's the simple truth. It never was real. And your attachment to it was the only problem. And that's the correction. Once you understand that. Oh, so very powerful stuff. Any other comments or questions on this one?
And I might just have to say goodnight to you lovely, beautiful beings.
Okay. Need to go. So thanks for joining us for the last couple of hours.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, we'll do another session tomorrow. So Elaine, tomorrow afternoon, you available?
Yeah, about 1 though, because I've got work in the morning. About 1, so
Yeah.
it's 3 your time, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it then.
Wonderful.
All right. Hopefully you can join us, Corin.
Absolutely.
All right. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Bye, guys.
Right,
okay.
bye, good night. See you
All
tomorrow.
right. So, let's have a look today's lesson then. Just going to make that a bit 347. We're on to. So if you can read that in the
Yeah,
original and alternative.
yeah. Anger must come from judgment. Judgment is the weapon I would use against myself to keep the miracle away from me. Anger must arise from judgment. Judgment is the weapon I use against myself to keep corrections away from me.
Yeah. So what's he saying in there?
Well, anger's, well, it's a, very strong defense or weapon against the truth. It's, keeping you as far away from it as you possibly can get. Yeah, so, yeah, very.
Anger must arise from judgment. So we looked at this before. Just have another look at this diagram. See it very clearly here. So whenever we judge anything as real in this world, we are really saying that your formless awareness of perfect love has been destroyed, and now we have this illusion instead. And so anger must come from that. Guilt and the sin demand punishment. We must believe in a fearful, wrathful God that's going to punish us. We then fear, and we project all that out to try and get rid of it onto others. And that's where accusation, blame, and attack of others comes in. So as a way of offloading our guilt. So the consequence of all this illusion, it's not, this isn't true, these are false ideas, is anger. And when we judge anything in this world as real, we're really saying that, yes, this world is real. We have actually, therefore, denied, destroyed God, love, oneness, pure formless awareness. We have actually pulled it off. We've done this terrible thing, and now we must suffer because of it. We will be punished for it. And then fear and anger inevitably follow. Which is why he's saying anger must come from judgment. Whenever you judge something as true, you reinforce the ego's delusion that we already have destroyed pure formless awareness of perfect love. See? And then guilt and sin and fear Once you believe that, guilt, sin, fear, attack, thoughts are all a necessary consequence of that delusion. So anger must arise from judgment. Judgment is just confirming in your deluded mind that the separation is real. But yes, you really have pulled it off. You really have destroyed pure formless awareness of perfect love. And look, here's the result. And then you focus your judgment on a specific result, outcome, what someone's done or said, hasn't done or said, that seems to justify the judgment and therefore the guilt, the sin, the fear, and the anger that come from it. So that's why anger must come from judgment, and judgment is the weapon I would use. Judgment is the weapon I use against myself to keep corrections away from me.
Yeah, I understand that one.
All right.
Yep.
So if you read the first paragraph in the original and alternative, please.
Yeah. Father, I want what goes against my will, and I do not want what is my will to have. My source, I want what goes against my awareness, and do not want what is my true awareness.
What's in my true?
Oh, yeah. Straighten my mind, my Father. Straighten my mind, my source. It is sick. It is sick. But you have offered freedom, and I choose to claim that gift. Claim your gift today. But you have offered freedom, and I choose to claim your gift today. And so I give all judgment to the one you gave to me to judge for me. And so I give all judgment to the one you gave to me to judge for me. He sees what I behold, and yet he knows the truth. He perceives what I behold, and yet he knows the truth. He looks on pain, and yet he understands it is not real, and in his understanding it is healed. It looks on pain, and yet it understands it is not real, and in its understanding it is healed.
Yeah, so that's particularly pertinent. So it perceives pain, but it understands it is not real. So if you can perceive whatever the pain is in your body, and at the same time know that it's not real, then the healing is happening right there in real time. So when you look at the sensation, you're able to just observe it without judgment. And there's the judgment idea that makes the pain real. You observe it without judgment, then you're understanding that it's not real.
That's the radical, but what about when you look deeply and look to what's caused it, the root? So whatever it might have been, anger over a past situation like the garage.
Yeah.
Anger. So anger's caused my fiery hands and feet. So do I get to the absolute root, which is anger?
Well, the root cause is anger, which remember makes guilt and sin and fear and attack real. So underlying the anger is the sense of guilt that is inevitable if you believe in a separate self.
Yeah.
So yes, you strip away all those illusions and you see them for what they are. Now, the whole thought system is illusory. The anger is the tip of the iceberg. But by getting angry, you've made fear real, you've made guilt and sin and your individual self real, you've made the separation real, you've made apparently then destroyed God or love or pure formless awareness in that in that insane attack on reality. So every time you got angry with those garage owners, you were saying all of this is real and pure formless awareness of perfect love is destroyed.
Right.
How do I know that? Because I'm experiencing it right now. Look at what these people have done. Look at how terrible they are. Look at how awful the situation is. And therefore my anger is justified.
Mm.
But it's a setup. You can see how you've been set up to believe that by the ego, which doesn't want you to just let it go and go back to pure formless awareness of perfect love. It wants you to stay very much caught up in this thought system of being an individual self and the guilt and the sin and the fear and the attack that are inevitable. It doesn't want you to find your freedom from that, which is why they're so sticky. They keep going. These ideas of sin, guilt, fear, attack thoughts, these have been around since the dawn of humanity, since people started writing down about their experience. These have been there, haven't they? So they're not exactly new.
Yeah.
And why are they so sticky? Why do they continue in this world? Because they are integral to the ego's existence. Without them, the ego would not exist. No separate self would mean no world. The world wouldn't exist. So the ego's got this strong investment in maintaining guilt, sin, fear, and attack, even though they're hurt, they're painful, they add no real value. It has to continue in this crazy dream in order to perpetuate its existence. And this is just saying, put it out of its misery. This is just saying, put it out of its misery. It really does not deserve to exist. In fact, it doesn't truly exist. Its existence has always been false. So put that false existence out of its misery by letting it go and returning your mind to pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is exactly always there, and it's completely pure. There's no corruption, no taint on it, no stain. Can you say that of your world? Completely pure, without any taint of corruption. Everything here is corrupted. Whatever you look at in form is corrupted because it's a product of a corrupted thought system. And that's why the world will never work. How can you bake a pure and lovely cake and delicious cake with rotten ingredients? Can't, can you?
No.
So the ego is trying to tell you you can. Holy Spirit says no, you never will succeed. The ingredients of this cake of the ego's reality are extremely rotten, and you cannot sugarcoat those. You cannot put a veneer of a thin layer of good icing on it and expect that that's going to solve the problem. That thin layer of icing is the ego's attempts to try and sort out the problems of this world with magic thoughts. Oh, well, you can heal your body this way, take this pill or potion, or find your special love, and that's going to make you happy, or change jobs, get a different career, make more money to make you happy. Whatever the delusion is, none of it's really going to work because it's all just a thin veneer of seemingly positive icing on a ridiculous thought system, a very strange and dark thought system, a rotten cake that doesn't even exist in truth. Okay, I'm going to carry on. Sees what I behold, and yet it knows the truth. Sees pain, yet it understands it's not real, and its understanding it is healed. So that's a simple way to heal pain. You've got to remind yourself that it is not real, even as it's being experienced.
Yeah.
And still correct your mind, even if you are in intense physical pain, you still have choice. That pain cannot take away your power of choice. The ego tells you that it can, but in truth it can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah. He gives the miracles my dreams would hide from my awareness. It makes the corrections my dreams hide from my awareness. Let him judge today. I let it judge today. I do not know my will. but he is sure it is your own. I do not know my awareness, but it is sure it is your own. And he will speak for me and call your miracles to come to me. And it will speak to me and call your corrections to come to me. From the top, my source, I want what goes against my awareness, and I do not want what is my true awareness. Straightening my mind, my source. Straighten my mind, my source. It is sick, but you have offered freedom, and I choose to claim your gift today. And so I give all judgment to the one you gave to me to judge for me. It perceives what I behold, and yet it knows the truth. It perceives pain, and yet it understands it is not real. And in its understanding, it is healed. It makes the corrections my dreams hide from my awareness. I let it judge today. I do not know my awareness, but it is sure it is your own, and it will speak for me and call your corrections to come to me. So saying,
What did you read?
well, it's just saying for us to straighten our mind up and just take faith in our true self and not judge, and it will do the work for us to find the truth if we just let go and not judge. So it's asking us for now, today, to let go and let it speak for us, and find the corrections will naturally come to us.
I give all judgment to the one you gave to me to judge for me. So the Holy Spirit's only judgment is that this isn't true. It doesn't condemn anything. It doesn't make it real. It merely reminds you that none of what you're perceiving is true. That's the Holy Spirit's judgment. So it's in stark contrast to the ego's judgments, which make all of these things in the world real. And how does it do that? It makes it real in your perception through emotion. Oh, now, this has happened, and then you feel the anger or the hatred or the fear or the jealousy or whatever the emotion is. Well, what's the ego doing? It's making that situation real. It's making your apparently separate self real, and the other person's separate self real through the thought and the emotion. And that's what egoic judgment entails, always separating you from others so that it reinforces your separate self. Holy Spirit's judgment merely reminds you that none of this is true. It's the one judgment it makes, no matter what seems to be happening or have happened. When you understand it's not true, then you can truly let it go. Okay. None of this is true. So why am I bothering to judge it? Why have I got any emotion about it at all if it's not true? This is the simple logic of the Holy Spirit. Okay. Happy with paragraph 1?
Yeah.
Right. Number 2. Very short 2 lines there, 2 sentences.
Listen today. I listen today. Be very still and hear the gentle voice for God assuring you that he has judged you as the son he loves. I am very still and hear the gentle voice for perfect love assuring me that it has judged me as the extension it loves. So it's just asking us to be very still and listen, and just listen for this gentle voice of perfect love.
Yeah. Showing me that it has judged me as the extension it loves. very comforting. You
It
still my extension. You haven't actually gone away. You've never destroyed love. You couldn't. How can you destroy what you are? It's not possible. It's eternal. How is it possible that you can destroy it? It's not possible. And in that realization is your salvation. It's so very simple, isn't it? The truth is so simple.
Mm, it
It's not
is.
possible to destroy it. And we just have to remember that when the ego plays its games and tells us that it is possible, and now that destruction is very much manifest in the world that you perceive and in your reality. Okay. So any other thoughts on this one? Nice lesson again, a reminder. Again, we've looked at anger and judgment before, but what he's explicitly doing in this one is connecting the two, saying anger must come from judgment. So there's causation. Judgment causes anger. And so I use judgment, and the anger that it causes is the weapon I choose to use against myself to keep the miracle away from me. Okay, so shall we just have a look? I think Song of Prayer, maybe we can leave till tomorrow. So this is the last section of the Song of Prayer, but there's 10 paragraphs. I'm not sure about taking that on now.
Yeah.
So shall we do it tomorrow afternoon?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, good idea.
So let's just do a meditation now to close the session.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, great. Right, I shall
All right,
just.
so just get yourself ready. You sit up. Do that. Okay, so this is a meditation on lesson 347. Just making yourself comfortable. Sitting with your feet shoulder width apart, your back straight. Cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes. Start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. Then breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. And the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Scan your mind, noticing thoughts and emotions that are arising, and focusing particularly on any anger. So even a mild irritation is a form of anger. Being very honest about that. Frustration is a form of anger. Acknowledge it, feel it in your body, how it shows up. Maybe as sensation in your body. Maybe there's, as you felt the burning sensation. Anger is as today's quote says, like an acid, burns you up from the inside. So notice any of that anger arising. Maybe bring a particular situation to mind. Remind yourself that anger must come from judgment. Judgment is the weapon I use against myself, our little self. Judgment is the weapon I use against myself to keep corrections away from me. And blow it all out. Exhale. Imagine this anger is leaving you like a dark cloud or black smoke. Just blow it away. Imagine that this anger is like, they're like dark clouds, just blown away. The breeze of your breath into the nothingness they really are. It's going, gone. Let it go, blow it away. So now you're just going to breathe in through the nose, nice deep, full, slow inhale breath as I speak the words of this short lesson. And I'll pause after each sentence. And you can exhale out through your nose and you can speak the words. Let's try that. Breathing in. Nice full deep inhale breath, breathing into the lower stomach, your groin. So my source, read an alternative, my source. I want what goes against my awareness. Breathing in again. So my source, I want what goes against my awareness and do not want what is in my true awareness. Breathing in again. Deep breath in, infusing every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. Breathing in again. Breathing in the perfect love, light, joy. It's available. So straight to my mind. Straight to my mind, my source. It is sick. It is sick. Breathing in again. That you have offered freedom. You have offered freedom. Breathing in again. Breathe that freedom in. Every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. In this delicious freedom. Experience it now. So I choose to claim your gift today. I choose to claim this gift of freedom today. Breathing in again. And so I give all judgment to the one you gave to me. Breathing in. Perceives what I behold. And yet it knows the truth. So I give all judgment to the one who gave to me to judge for me. Perceives what I behold, and yet it knows the truth. Perceives what I behold, and yet it knows the truth. Breathing in again. perceives pain, yet it understands it is not real. And its understanding, it is healed. So exhale, just sense of releasing any pain, letting it go. It makes the corrections my dreams hide from my awareness. Breathe in and feel this correction process happening. Now let it judge today. Let it judge today. Because I do not know my awareness, but it is sure it is your own. It's in your source. I do not know my awareness. You breathe in, but it is sure it is your own. And it will speak for me and call for corrections to come to me. And so breathing in again, last paragraph. I will listen today. Yeah, I will listen today as you exhale. Say it with conviction, purpose, and meaning. I will listen today. Breathing in again. So I'm very still. Feel that stillness infusing you, embracing you. I'm very still and hear the gentle voice for perfect love. So just feel the love. So just let that gentle voice envelop you, encompass you. There's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. There's nothing else to think about. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, be still. Surrender to the stillness. Another couple of minutes of deep contemplative silence. So if any thoughts come in that seemingly disturb this deep peace and silence, any thoughts at all. Just blow away any negativity like a dark cloud or black smoke. It's leaving you, it's going gone, going away into the nothingness that really is. And then it'll go. And surrendering in, it's just about sinking into this deeper awareness that's beyond insane illusions of judgment, fear, guilt, sin, and anger. So just gently coming back now to an awareness of the body and the breath, senses in the world. And on the count of three, open your eyes. So one, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises and the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pause at the top of the inhale. Scan the mind, so notice any thoughts, emotions, related body sensations going on, particularly anything that feels it's a limiting, attracted and constricting. Breathe into that. There's some golden or white light flowing into that energy, is dissipating it. So just breathe in and observe any remaining anger, whatever form it may be. It might just be a slight annoyance, some bit of resentment. Breathe in, imagine you breathing in this beautiful golden white light into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. Is in the light. And then just be willing to let it go. Exhale out. Release it. Let it go. It's going, gone. So the nothingness that it really is. Count to two, notice the weight of your body. Pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling with your hands and touching. Notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling with your hands touching. There's a subtle taste in your mouth, smell in your nose, notice that. Observing all these body sensations to bring yourself back into an awareness of the body via the breath, so you reconnect with the world, but yet you maintain some awareness of this deeper state, the light. So just observe the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, feet touching the ground, noticing what you're feeling. So hands touching, maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth. There's that. Just what you're hearing, surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, present state. Resolve to let go of any remaining anger that comes from judgment, reminding yourself that anger must arise from judgment. Judgment is the weapon I use against myself to keep corrections away from me. Blow that away. So anchor this state of inner freedom in. Set the intention to stay here for the rest of the evening. You can use today's lesson to top you up if you need to. Just remind yourself of it briefly, or listen to one of the breath breaks, or even the longer meditation before bed. That'll keep you in the peace of God. It passes all understanding. And now on the count of 3, open your eyes. So just take a minute to look around, just observing various objects in the room around you, completely randomly. You don't tend to focus on anything or anyone. Just observe in this very detached, calm way. So as you look around, you notice it's objects, but with no judgment, so it's all okay. It doesn't matter what you see. There's no judgment, none of it means anything. So you're at peace. And just notice without any preference, any attachment, no judgment, in other words, non-judgmental perception. Notice that there's just an underlying peace that underlies all of your perceptions. Move on to something else, look at another object or thing, whatever your eyes happen to rest on, and notice that this peace is still there. Nothing has really changed. Close your eyes if you need to, open your eyes. Look around to some other objects too. Just for a few seconds, look at each one for a few seconds, do that for 5 or 6 things. What you're training your mind to do through this little mind training exercise is to go beyond judgment. Strip away all your judgmental perceptions and just observe and notice that what underlies that perception is a deep peace. So this is teaching you that peace is never far away, it's always there. It's your deepest self and your true being. So that brings us to the end of the meditation and tonight's session. So thank you, Elaine, for joining, and we'll see you tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, that was very nice. Thank you. Very relaxing.
Yeah, Good way to end. Good session.
Yeah,
What is a miracle? And we'll finish the song of prayer tomorrow. We'll focus on
yeah,
that. Make sure.
yeah, that's good. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so I'll see you at
Good.
1 o'clock UK time.
1 o'clock UK. Yeah, lovely. Okay. Namaste.
Namaste. Bye.
Namaste. Bye.
Good night. So thank you to Elaine and Corin for joining. If you enjoyed this session, then please do join us in the next masterclass happening this Sunday evening to find out more about the Art of Letting Go course and program and how you could be part of these live sessions and use this amazing teaching of A Course in Miracles and the Art of Letting Go course and program that I've created around it to help you really do a deep dive into A Course in Miracles this year and transform your mind and your life. So go to theaolg.com, it's theaolg.com to find out more and register for the masterclass. It's completely free. You may also want to get some of the information I send up front, the daily quote and the reading, and you'll get a daily lesson from the course and a short breath break, so mini meditation to help you practice the lesson. Just get that sent to you every day via Telegram. So you may want to do that. Go to lifebuild.com. It's lifebuild.com to do that. The links are both below in the comments box. If you're watching this video on YouTube, should be able to see that. Finally, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel and you like this, please do subscribe to be notified whenever I go live, which is 6 days a week. You get access to these live sessions, and YouTube will notify you whenever I stream live, so you can join the live stream or the recording. Watch the recording later. Okay, so thank you very much for joining the session, and hope to catch you on the inside soon in the masterclass or in one of these live sessions. So join the masterclass to find out how this program works. Go to theaolg.com to do that now. Hey, thank you for joining again, and thank you to Elaine and Corin for making the session possible. I bid you good night. Namaste, which means the true self. There's love and peace and joy are real, nothing else is real. It's non-judgmental self. Knowledge and honors that same true non-judgmental self in you. Peace.